welcome to Free for All.
What's this?
Game where everyone's
Ah, Greg,
fucking
blimey.
rubber except for you.
Do not worry about leaving your job. Your fans are with you, smiley face. Side note, I just realized that WTii means, well, there it is.
Yeah, that happens to a lot of people. Thank you very much there for the support there, Hagrid. That's insane. Thank you very much. A lot of people realise that. There's been people that have watched the channel for years and then they go, oh, so when you say, well, there it is, that stands for witty. Well, W, there, T, it, I, is, I. WTii. Oh! Oh, yeah. Yeah, I get that quite a lot, actually, in YouTube comments. It's a frequent thing that comes up, because every now and then someone comes across it, and they're like, oh, yeah, I never really picked up on that. And it's true, you just don't always notice these things. So it's very sneaky. I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, though, because it's not very good for branding if it's not very obvious, but there you go. Right, so in this game, it's going to be played on full-scale assault, and it's Team Trump, I know that much. And I'm just going to have a look at the picture here. Team Trump, so we've got Kodo's Forsaken, and Kodo's Forsaken, We Are Fouls, Long Walk USA, and Drayan are actually in... Drayan was actually possibly going to cast alongside me, but he's been roped into this, and he's going to be playing as Undead Imbalance for Team Trump. So you guys are actually going to have to actively say, if you like this team, you're going to have to actively say, I want Team Trump to win. You can't say, I want this team to win. You have to say, I want Team Trump to win, regardless of your view on politics. That's how you have to do this. And now I've got to look for players that have... Oh, there we go. I found it already. No. Okay, this must have been deliberately set up. Okay, so TR Vanilla, Kissin Sananito, and Scut, as well as good old Knoswi, are in Team Soviet War Elite. So we've got Team Trump playing as Red versus Team Soviet War Elite. Okay, I'll do a straw poll for that before any craziness happens. So let's go on the old straw poll. And I'll also do the colours for this, because again, like I said, I'm probably going to refer to the colours for a fair bit of this, just to make it more obvious. Okay, so Team Soviet Elite, Soviet War Elite, throw that in there as well, versus Red Team Trump. Okay, so that's a good way to do this. I'm just talking to myself as I do. You'll get the picture if you see this. So for those of you watching this on the YouTube video, it might not necessarily make so much sense, but this is obviously being live streamed just for you to understand. You can obviously watch this in the Twitch broadcast or on YouTube, which I'll probably post it up onto YouTube. It just depends on how long it takes to get up there, and I don't want to oversaturate the video, the channel with too many videos on the same day. So it might be a case that I put them over a certain length of time, because I've done that before. Previous channels where I've posted about 20 videos in one day, and that never really worked out because each video got like 50 views. So that doesn't really work. You're just damaging yourself basically by doing that. Unfortunately, it's just the nature of things. Okay, so that's really good timing there for Long Walk. Going to stop the Priestess of the Moon. Priestess of the Moon harass is just such a common thing in team games. But this won't matter too much. We Are Fouls is going to secure this expansion, and he's going to get off to a good head start. Meanwhile, Scut! Undead is actually taking the expansion here. There's two Night Elves on the top, Undead and Orc, so Orc is actually teching up by the looks of it. And now I've got to get the straw poll done, because I'll leave it on this, and I'll get the straw poll finally finished. Okay, there we go. Straw poll has been created. Didn't quite get enough time to do it just before the game started.
The town is under siege.
Still loads of harass going on over here, but like I say, We Are Fouls has got this. It's just going to be a case of losing a lot of militia to secure this expansion. You've got to go for a lot of hell to get this, but it's a great chance for the Blade Master to pick up a lot of experience though, and the Blade Master getting carried away early on is going to always cause damage. Wow, that was a really nice move. That almost got the Blade Master. The reveals. Trying to pick him off. Didn't quite pay off though. And down goes the Ancient Protector to help fight off the hunts. Okay, so let's do the poll.
A player's forces are under attack.
There we go. So the poll is under exclamation mark vote. And it's for the team that you think is going to win. Which is Teal, Team Soviet War Elite, which I'll probably just call Soviets. And, of course, Red, who are Team Trump. So, Team Soviet War Elite, or Soviets, they're working with Death Knight Fiends. Of course, probably teching into Frostworms, but we don't know that for sure. It might be Destroyers, depending on how many casters the enemy team get. And we got Knof Sui playing as the Orc, who's branching out into, well, Bestiary, Grunts so far, I believe, but maybe some Headhunters we might see more often. Because we have got 2 Night Elves, and they're likely to be providing that beautiful True Shot aura. I'd be surprised. There must have been a Priestess of the Moon. Yes. Priest of the Moon and Keeper of the Grove, which has been surrounded and forced a town portal. So this is some highly aggressive play from the Soviets, which is, well, not working out. Well, it kind of did. Like, they got a lot of experience, and I don't think they really lost much for it, but they might have overstayed their welcome at this stage. So it might be best for them to come back, secure expansions, and go forth from there. So TR Vanilla going to be probably the Huntress provider. So the Priestess of the Moon player typically just stays at tier 1 and goes Priestess of the Moon and Mass Huntress the whole game. Nice micro from We Are Fowls here, saving a lot of footmen. Yeah, but in typical Priestess of the Moon team game style, they very rarely give up on harass. This is what they do. They just stick at tier 1, double Ancient of War, and just pump Huntresses out and just keep throwing them non-stop. They don't stop. But it might be more difficult to keep the harass up when the Priestess of the Moon goes down. A attempt at hiding there, even though daytime is coming up, so it wouldn't have lasted for too long. And the Wyverns are in. Kodo's Forsaken is now really going to have a dominant position over these Huntresses. It's a case that they will be forced to come back for good. Lovely. You don't often get to see an Ancient Protector being built inside of a human space, considering how good human towers are. Nice little scuffle here with Dran and Long Walk Short versus Noth and Scut. So good old 2 versus 2 going on here alongside. Oh, hang on. Oh, we got some support here from the Shadow Hunter coming in for a secure kill on possibly Dran. Has he got Ensnare? I don't think he has, otherwise we would have seen it. Oh, he does manage to force the town portal though on Dran. So Noth putting Team Trump in trouble. Now it looks like the Keeper of the Grove. I tell you, that Ensnare might be really. Yep, there we go. Another town portal forced. 350 gold each, so 700 gold there spent on town portaling, and that's in their own territory as well. So that's rough to come back from. They're going to have to clear up this Fountain of Health and get some free healing, or they're just going to soak up the Moonwells and go for it. I'm surprised that neither team has decided to secure their Fountain of Health, because even though you want to be as aggressive and take as many creeps away from the enemy team because you want to creep on their side of the map, that makes sense. You're denying them experience as well as possibly creep jacking them. That Fountain of Health is actually a very fundamental mechanic for a map like this, and you see it used a lot in 4 vs 4 RT. There's many times where it will just keep you going, and particularly effective for Chimeras and Frostworms, believe it or not, because obviously it heals on a percentage base of your total health, and those 2 bastards have a lot of health. So we won't get to that stage until much later into the game, because this is full-scale assault, so I would expect to be able to see some tier 3 units out of these players. Jurayan setting himself up for it, but I haven't seen the Frostworms or the Boneyards be placed just yet. His other players on the team are further behind on tech, with Kodos Forsaken being on tier 3 though as well, with a decent chunk of Wyverns that are nicely upgraded actually. 1-1's not too bad. They're going to start to put out some decent damage output as long as they can't be countered very easily. Scott might be venturing towards the destroyer route instead of the frostworm route. It's like I said, mentioned earlier, it's possible he might invest more in fiends for web to deal with frostworms and have destroyers as a counter to possible orc casters from Kodos Forsaken and such. But Kodos Forsaken seems pretty determined to stick to mass wyverns, which, you know, is actually a pretty legitimate strategy in 4 versus 4 RT, because they've got such sort of like high damage piercing attacks. They can really pick units off and fall back, pick units off, but if they get webbed, it's going to be a much more difficult story. Well, the most viewers I've ever had, I think it's closer to like 900-ish when I did the free-for-all tournament shoutcast. But yeah, that was a while ago now. The link should still be working. The massive delay is only 5 minutes. It's not too huge. A lone water elemental trying to get its kicks in scouting has been denied. Well, I figure it got this far, but that's not super valuable information. It's probably more important to see what the undead is doing. Anyway, we won't deny that. We'll still respect the water elemental's last dying wishes. So, who's going to pick up the Scroll of the Beast? What's it going to be? A very good item actually for 4 versus 4 RT. Except if your opponent does go into destroyers, then they can absorb it. We've got a nice little engagement here. We've got Team Trump. Might be forced to Town Portal again with that Death Knight being picked off potentially really quickly. He's going to come out of this Hex, be able to take a healing potion, but is that going to be enough? No, it's going to have to still be a Town Portal, and of course Long Walk USA following in suit because he can't continue with a 1 versus 2. So far, so very good for Soviet War Elite in their little engagements on the bottom side here. On the top side, we can see Vanilla, who actually has progressed. Huh. Where did he hide those? Hang on a second. Yeah, Vanilla's... He's got, I think... Was it Hippogriffs he was going for? With Huntresses? Yeah. He's going for... So he did tech up to tier 2. And he's going to be the base... The basic builder, I would say. So, hunts, hippos. Just blocky ground units to soak up damage, and awesome anti-air units. Pretty straightforward attack moving units. He's going to be like your tank of the team, so to speak. Kizien... Oh, my goodness, I'm never going to get this name right. Kizin Sato. Okay, I have to stop to say it. Kizin Sato is going... Oh, hello, another engagement here. But Kodos Forsaken being forced to Town Portal after so many... Whoa! So many items! Although they're really rubbish items, so it's not the biggest loss. But what is the bigger loss? Oh no, never mind actually. The middle has been crept. I wish I kept an eye on that. Sorry about that. I have to assume that he managed to pick it off because these guys have only just come up here and managed to find it. Although I could probably find out just from the items alone, because I'm quite aware of what typical type of items drop, so I'm going to assume that Kodos Forsaken got it.
A player's forces are under attack.
Yeah, Helm of Valor. Kodos Forsaken got it. Not the best item, but it's okay for a Blade Master. We are Fowls, the Archmage, having a little gamble here. I thought for a moment that was a Wonder Illusion kind of thing deal, but it's not. He's just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Wow. There's nowhere to go from that. Kodos Forsaken. He's only got a small... Ah, the hippos do make it much more difficult to contest this, because I was going to say he could probably pick off the Dryads. Oh my gosh, how many hippos. And they are not going to stand for this wyvern crap. So how many bats are going to come into play? There's one. But we're going to need more than that if we're to deal with those hippos. Go! Okay, one hippo taken. A little bit of area effect damage done, but not too much. Kodos Forsaken going to need to really dance around with these wyverns, but the support from the Sorks will really come in handy here if they can throw down some slows on those wyverns, making them virtually useless since they're melee anti-air units. And if they can't catch up with your air units, then they ain't going to do nothing, are they? Okay, down here in the bottom left, we've got a huge battle going on here with Draen's Lich in a bit of a pickle. Oh, watch out! No, it goes down, but the orb of... Oh, we've got the orb imbalance still in effect here. For it's from Scut fighting off Team Trump as they are forced to retreat. And meanwhile, on the top side of the map, Team Trump is forcing Soviet War to retreat. So we've got a bit of a 50-50 going on here on both sides. Bear in mind that both teams have 2 expansions each, with a third one being built for Team Soviet War Elite. And there's still some gaps for potential expansions later on down the line. So really, it does look like Vanilla, the Night Elf player, focusing on his Huntresses, his Hippos. And we've got Kisinato as well. He's also going heavy into Hippos. Hungry Hippos, you might even call them, potentially. And Dryads, great support, since at the moment there isn't much in the way of mortar teams, at least from what I've seen. So those Dryads will do well. There's the... Oh, look at that. Triple boneyards. Okay, that should be interesting to watch. Destroyers and Fiends from Scut, though. Focusing more on Destroyers as the Fiends start to fall in these battles. He'll supply more food towards Destroyers, which means a little bit less pressure on the Frostworms, to be quite frank with you.
A player's forces are under attack.
The main pressure, of course, is the mass Hippos. So if Team Trump can get a decent... Oh my goodness. Team Trump have secured the Blue Dragon, which is a huge deal. But those Hippos are a bigger deal versus those Wyverns. The Priest of the Moon was picked off there. It's nicely done. The Bat might just come in here and see if he can at least pick off one Hippo and do some nice splash damage. He's on his way. What's he going to get up to? I would think that Team Trump, the red team, would need to secure some tanks, really, if they want to deal with these Hippos. Because once Hippos get to such a stupid mass like this, 1 or 2 tanks can do... Well, they can put a lot of threat and a lot of damage with very little effort. So definitely invest in tanks, which I'm very surprised I haven't seen, to be quite frank with you. I mean, I'm seeing Priest Master training above tanks. And this is 4v4 RT. That's madness. I think if you've ever watched my channel before, you know how many 4 vs 4 RT games I played. You know how important it is to get Frostworms for Undead and how important it is to get tanks for human. And not seeing any tanks in a game that's gone on quite this distance is very surprising, to be frank with you. That could probably be the thing that costs them the game if they don't get that secured. Not that the tanks are really vital versus the rest of the forces. The Destroyers they're nice against, the Hippos are nice against, but they still have to deal with this. Tanks and Mortars seem like the fundamental unit that I think Fowls should be focusing on right now. So the more of those he can produce, the better it is going to be for Team Trump. Those Wyverns are massing up nicely with 2 extra damage on their, well, damage upgrades. And they're starting to put it down onto this Great Hall that's only just gone up. Very little gold. 60 gold taken from that so far. And ooh, the town portal's coming in. That was a very quick delay. Oh, that was a smart move to fall back that quickly, though, because the one that did TP in was the Undead, with the Fiends ready to capture some Wyverns. But no. Who's going in? Looks like Team Trump wants to engage this. Fall back on the bottom side, though, whilst the frickin' Frostworms are getting caught on the top side. Drayan being forced to town portal. And yeah, I think this is best for Team Trump to get back out of this situation. They need to be all properly coordinated and less caught out, as well as the fact that they're attacking on enemy territory, so they're more likely to be caught out in certain positions. These armies are getting big now. We are talking like 70 to 80 food plus, probably for each player. Yep, we're looking at like the 70 mark-ish on average for Soviets, and ooh, a little bit lower, but not too much lower for Team Trump. So far, Soviets looking stronger right now. They've got a very good mixed group. They've got the Bears for sheer tanking, a little bit of damage, and of course that Raw buff, which is fantastic on Hippos, as well as a huge clump of units such as what they have. They've got good old Orc, Tauran Chieftain, and Kodo Aura supplying this group with extra damage and just power. Oh, do you have a staff? There's no staff, but there is a town portal being effectively used here. So many town portals use this game. Does save the 425 gold Mountain Giant. Oh, a huge engagement over here. Many Hippos taking a lot of damage without any tanks assistance. So this air is actually looking very strong here for Team Trump. If they can just hang in there a little bit more versus those Hippos, dance around them as much as possible. But the ground units for Soviet War is looking really, really powerful right now. The caster team for We Are Fowls is having to slowly pull back over here. We've got the big old dragon trying to do what he can. pushing forth against this undead imbalance over on the low side. Vanilla might go down. Princess of the Moon having to use the invulnerability shield. That's vital to keep her in the game because of the aura she provides. This is actually looking pretty damn good for Team Trump, as the teams are being really messed up and divided. I think Team Trump is coming out. No, they're not actually. No, it's all over the place. It's kind of going well for some of them, but not so well for the others. It's very difficult to say right now, but now that the players are definitely divided, I think we might have to give it back to Soviet War. They've got a lot of vulnerable units, so more mortars and stuff like that could help really pick off those vulnerable units and turn the tides of the numbers. We've got some beautiful use of invisibility here from We Are Fouls. Hasn't got enough mortar teams, but the area of effect spells do come in handy just to soften up these units. If they can just pick off a huge chunk of units there with just a little bit of area of effect, they could really definitely turn the tide. But this is looking very, very difficult now. That critical mass is starting to get carried away there for the Soviet War. And they've also secured an expansion up at the top here, and as well as keeping the bottom. So it's looking pretty damn good for Soviet War. Kodos has got the top expansion, and the bottom one has been placed down, but whether that will go up in time will be debatable. This is really, really harsh. Now, I would honestly say you can't engage versus Soviet War Elite here. They want this fight to happen because they know that they will do the best in this fight. They're looking really good. Strong arc here up at the top. Hippo's still going strong, causing lots of chaos. Mountain Giants won't put any damage out, but the damage on that Death Knight is actually very effective, forcing the town portal there. So yes, well done there to Team Trump, actually buying themselves some time, which is vital. They really needed that. I was very surprised that that actually went down that way. I think it's pretty much because the Death Knight got caught in that position. They were looking really strong going into... Ah, there's a tank. Oh, look at the upgrades as well. 3-2. Okay, that's looking good. It's looking good. The more tanks that come in, the more useless these hippos become. Chimeras are being brought in, though, as an alternative to some heavy damage, which is definitely smart because the hippogriffs have become less and less useful. I can't imagine to see too many gyros. I think that's more gimmicky than anything, just to provide some sort of, like, well, ability to see invisible units, such as what you saw earlier against We Are Fouls, although it is on We Are Fouls' team. He was using invisibility. None of these guys are going to be using invisibility because they don't have access to it, unless they get Blade Master or invisibility potion on any of their heroes. But it still helps to have a gyrocopter amongst the mix, but it won't last very long versus a hippo's an attack move. So, this looks like a bit of a turnaround so far. Teams are split ever so slightly to secure 2 expansion deaths, which is actually pretty smart. It's very dangerous to go much further past this point. Rather, I would probably suggest... Well, you can always test the waters, but you don't want to get trapped in a fight that you don't want to have. You can test the waters, but bear in mind that Kodos Forsaken is split from his team down here at the bottom, so if they all engage here, Soviet War, and they manage to pick off enough units before they can town portal out, they could actually definitely turn it back. Bears are engaging, Frostworms up at the top, dispels off on all those Frostworms with their roars. Nice area of effect here going on the huge clump of headhunters. Hippogriffs not finding much to contest right now, and it looks like Team Trump are having to back off here, so they might have pushed a little bit too much luck there, unfortunately. And as I say, oh, I'm going to lose my throat here. Oh, this is only game 2. See how long I can last. That's what she said. Right. Yeah, so Team Trump pushing their luck just a little bit further. Like I said, it's not really worth it because by the time you town portal, you're going to lose 2 to 3 units probably each. And then that's going to obviously stack up to like a couple of thousand worth of gold. So you've got to be real careful with that. Ah, you're welcome, Thrasher. No worries. I'd like to put this up there. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Okay, that is a very slow moving group. Those Sorks have been busy. But look at the convoy going on here. They want to fight back here, take out an expansion or 2 to get revenge for the expansions that were lost. Of course, the outer expansions being the more vulnerable, with this one almost being taken off. I understand the strategy there with a 3-1 split for Team Trump is to see how many expansions they can take down, because that in a lot of ways is what will win you the game, is gold. When it comes down to these late game stages where gold is going to be what funnels your armies, basically. It's less about micro and the small army scale elite, and it's more about macro and giant freaking armies plummeting into one another. Oh, that is such a devastating force here, though, from Soviet War Elite. The Mountain Giants are fantastic. As much tanking as they can do is going to be vital here because there's not all that much DPS coming out from this team on that side. The area effect is so nice, though. That does make up for some of the damage. And the Kodos Forsaken coming in on the backside flank. That is very huge. That is a lot of damage being done. And I don't think Soviet War Elite quite realize how much damage they're taking on this front. It's so hard to communicate when you're in big 4 versus 4 battles before it's too late and the damage is done. Area effects, so many orcs going down. Soviet War just crushing it right now, but we still got a lot of Team Trump going strong on the east-hand side. But I think, oh, it's just, blimey, it's just back and forth. That dragon's still going, such a valuable pickup. Soviet War losing some vital things here. Level 5 Priest of the Moon, level 3 Tauren Chieftain. The army is dwindled. How fast does this turn around again? Level 5 Blademaster down. Soon to be level 5. Oh, the Keep of the Grove. What was that? Was that a crit or was that a coil? I don't even know, but that was insta-give, basically. Oh my. Team Trump coming up top there. I think that is probably GG now. I don't know how you come back from that. Each team here has had a good set of engagements for each side. And I think that might just be the icing on the cake there. I think that is really difficult to come back from that. You're going to have to take a while to build up your armies after that loss. Vanilla, 39 food. We got 36 food Casento, 82 food for Scott, so he didn't lose too much, but 26 food for Knopf. Okay, so we got 82 food for Draen, 80 food for Long Walk, 80 food for Fowls, and 39 food for Kodos Forsaken. But he's got the Dragon and those really powerful heroes, so don't be mistaken by the low food count. That's level 5 Tauren Chieftain, level 5 Shadow Hunter, and a level 6 Blade Master, which is crazy. That'll kill an army by itself. The Mountain Giants are going to make this even more harder to contest as well. They're a great unit to have in these kind of situations at this stage now, because they can just mitigate so much damage and just misplace so much damage output from the enemy team just by using a taunt or two. It allows you to get a lot of DPS off, and when you've got upgraded Fiends with Aura, it's going to be very, very hard to not take a lot of damage from that. Soviet War looking for an engagement point here, trying to prick off the Priest of the Moon, forcing the town portal. But oh, a few. Oh no, no pro. Oh no, she. Oh, okay. Wow, that's okay. This is really important for Soviet War if they want to come back, is to determine how many Mountain Giants they can pick off here. Unfortunately, it looks like they're only going to be satisfied with one, but I would honestly see how many you could have picked off there. That is one of the things that's going to turn this around for you the most. But meanwhile, Kodos Forsaken just doing so much damage inside of his base. And where do you go over your Kiss? Apparently right in front of the enemy, and he's still going to make it. No! The Moonwell went down as he tried to take it. He couldn't make it to the next Moonwell. And Fowls being forced back, but not before doing an absolute ton of damage. I think this is still close
Players' forces are under attack.
as expansions are starting to fall down. 4,700 gold is respectable, but Soviet War with effectively no expansions up right now, and their gold mines from their mains are going to be depleted, so they are out of units basically at this point. So whatever they have is what they have, and I don't think it's going to be enough. We'll see though. They might be able to turn this around. That is a lot of hippos. Fantastic versus that. One bat can't do that much, surely. Yeah, it's definitely very, very difficult to communicate this kind of stuff. I think all 4 of you would have to be on voice chat. Because you think people, you know, get really uppity when it comes to Dota and sort of like when you're controlling a single hero, trying to communicate. When each player is only controlling a single hero, trying to communicate amongst one another what they're doing. You imagine trying to communicate what you're doing with all of this when you've got this many units each. That is a lot to take on board. That's a lot of information for your brain. And look at the voodoo going down there. Oh, the damage. Oh, that area of effect is really kicking ass there from We Are Fowls. Those heroes are going to be so powerful. The level 3 Blood Mage, not as high as I thought he would be, but the Death Knight goes down as a really vital hero. Good game, well played. It looks like it's over. GG. Everyone's falling out, and the game has been decided. The big dragon stayed alive the whole way through. That was a huge one, that was. Jeez. "11 hero kills there for Codex Forsaken." The Orc heroes really getting carried away. This is why I've said time and time again that although Night Elf can really sort of like pull their weight from time to time in 4 versus 4 RT, I would put them down as the weakest for 4 versus 4 RT. Unless you can get away with mass chimeras and not be countered. They struggle because they don't provide... I mean, someone said it in a YouTube comment for me earlier today, I think it was. It was something like orcs, they can at least supply... You know, they can fuel a 400 food army with support from casters, shaman, spirit walkers, witch doctors. Huge support for 400 food. You got undead with their critical tier 3 units, the frostworms, just doing so much damage and being such bulky units. The humans, of course, with their versatility, mortars, tanks, very hard to shut them down. And then there's a Night Elf. Unless you can get away with mass chimeras, which is doable if you're supported properly, they're a little bit more vulnerable. But I might be wrong. You'll feel free to let me know what you think. And I'll see you in the next one.